talking team specials, position totals, and more. Lots of props available on the DK Sportsbook. Very exciting. So there is one. The favorite bet on team draft specials. So that's the first position selected. So, Reid, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to the New York Giants here, and I think O-line at minus 180 is not a foregone conclusion, but they really need to do it, right? That's the one that I'm most comfortable with. There's other ones too, talking about the AFC East with the Jets. I think there's an outside chance they take edge at plus 125, but offensive line for the Giants seems like a good fit at minus 180.
Geoff, where are you going?
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. I mean, I'd be pretty shocked if Evan Neal was there or Aquanu or even Charles Cross wasn't taken at number 5 for the Giants. I'm going to go with bigger odds, though. I do think that with some of these quality teams on the back end, it's a little bit more up for grabs. And I think you're getting good odds on a team like the Buffalo Bills to take a defensive back at plus 150. A little bit under the radar news, but Jordan Poyer potentially holding out for the Bills. They have some issues in there right now. And this is a pretty deep draft class for cornerbacks. I think that a plus 150 for the Bills to take a defensive back. I mean, you've got the second odds for the Bills are running back at plus 230. I don't think the Bills are taking a running back there. I just think it's too high for them to do that. So, I think defensive back should actually be a bit shorter for them. They could definitely surprise and take an O lineman or a defensive lineman, but you see the odds there for them are plus 500 to do that. I think defensive back is a pretty good value for the Buffalo Bills for first position draft for them.
All right, Geoff, let's go into position totals here. What's your favorite bet here? Give me a non-quarterback or wide receiver position.
Yeah, and I mean, I've harped on this one for the entire week, and this number has not changed. But first round cornerbacks, cornerbacks with a C, drafted in the first round, over 4.5 is still a plus 120. I just mentioned the Bills are a team that's their favorite to draft a cornerback. Guess what? The Patriots, they're plus 250 to draft a cornerback. The cornerback is the favorite position for the Patriots to draft as well. There's other teams like the Bengals who could easily go cornerback. We know there's at least 4 cornerbacks going in the first round. I don't want to say it's a lock, but 4 guys, cornerbacks are almost certainly. So we just need one guy like Kyler Gordon to shoot up. And these guys all have really good grades on them. So I think at 4.5, getting plus money to go over on the cornerback position here. Again, I'm surprised this one hasn't moved, but people just don't like drafting or targeting the defensive player bets. But I think over 4.5 cornerbacks is a very good bet for this draft.
All right, Fowler, which position do you have your eye on? I'm looking at offensive linemen here, which is obviously a stud group in this draft, 7.5.
Yeah, and going back to what Geoff was saying about cornerbacks, he's right. Sauce, Stingley, McDuffie, Daxton Hill are probably the 4, at least that I'm thinking, that are going in the first round. That leaves Kyer Elam, Kyler Gordon, right, and Pitre to be the other one other person, which I agree with. But I'm going under offensive linemen 7.5 at minus 190. I don't think they come up, towards the end of the first round, like we'll see with quarterbacks, right? We've always talked about quarterbacks coming at the end, so these teams can get that 5th-year option. And so I do like the over 2.5 quarterbacks at minus 115. I know we're not supposed to choose that, but still a good bet. And that's come down. It was minus 160 earlier. Now it's at minus 115. I do like that, but under 7.5 offensive linemen, I think they're going to go, very fast at the beginning of the draft, but you're not going to see a lot of them towards the end.
Okay, guys, so there's something on the DK Sportsbook called draft matchups. So it's players being pitted against each other, which one of them is going to be drafted first. So what's your favorite bet on here, Reid?
Yeah, Drake London over Kyle Hamilton. I know Mike Golick was talking about Hamilton, and I agree with him. I don't know why he's sliding, but that's just the nature of the draft, and that's the nature of the safety position, that it's just not valued extremely high, and especially against a wide receiver. And Drake London has been rising up draft boards. You take a look at their props individually. London's draft prop is 10.5, and it's minus 115 to both sides. And you take a look at what Kyle Hamilton is, it's 12 and a half, I believe. And if you take a look at the teams that need those positions, right, I believe it's the Commanders and the Jets, right, in that 10-11 spot. I think that's where they go. I think London goes at that 10 spot to the Jets, and Hamilton potentially goes to that 11 spot with the Commanders. So I like it a lot. It's minus 160, so you got to lay some juice, but Drake London over Kyle Hamilton.
Geoff, what's your pick here?
I like that one too. Drake London does feel like he's got a chance to be if not the first wide receiver off the board, second. So that was definitely one that's on my radar. I'm going to go with, I'm going to stick with the cornerback position. I'm really, standing for cornerbacks in this segment. Trent McDuffie is plus 120 to go before Chris Olave. And it's not that I don't like Chris Olave. It's just this wide receiver group in the first round. There's so many different ways it could work out. One of these guys is going to slide. Like, not everyone is going like 12th or something like that. So Olave is a guy I could see going in the 20s. And I think McDuffie, once the first two cornerbacks go off, people are going to rise to get him. So I think the fact that, like, I just look at this line, I think it should be closer to even than Olave being a huge favorite, which he is. So Trent McDuffie plus 120. Again, I feel like all these cornerback lines, when you look at a position totals and it goes to the matchups, they're just a little bit undervalued. And I think, again, you can target it in the matchups.
And Geoff, to your point, I think Buffalo is that team that trades up for Trent McDuffie, right? Like, they're that team that could trade up with someone in that 12-13 spot that potentially wants to trade down.
I think there's a good chance. Someone panics. They either overdraft McDuffie or they trade up to get him once the top two guys are off the board.
Guys, we'll get you out here with this. Your favorite draft pick parlay bets. Reid.
I'm going Garrett Wilson first and Drake London second, wide receiver taking at plus 350. Jets take they potentially could take Wilson. Oh, I know I just mentioned that London might go there, but I do think that Wilson is someone that I do like as well. And London going at number 12.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, this one is, I'm honestly having a very tough time to decide here, but I'm going to go first QB selected, Malik Willis, second QB selected, Kenny Pickett, excuse me. I just think that eventually Willis, someone's just going to come up and grab him. The Steelers, the Seahawks, there's just too much like raw talent there for someone to just let him slide. And Pickett is a guy who could also just, if all the quarterbacks slide, that's fine too. I think Willis could still end up in front. So Willis first, second QB selected, Kenny Pickett plus 125.